MLP Series Review, Season 1, Episode 13, Fall Weather Friends. Alright, I really, really, really hate this episode. I can't, uh, I really hate this episode. It's an Applejack Rainbow Dash episode. This episode is like the start of the entire reason that I think that Rainbow Dash is by far the worst of the main six. You can have your preferences, of course. You can like whichever you like the most. What I mean by is the worst is that her character, like her integrity and morals, are by far the worst out of the six. Like she is such a terrible pony. If she was a real person, she'd be a terrible human being. Um, this episode starts with her and Applejack playing horseshoes. Applejack wins, legitimately beats her, and she gets mad. So they have a little spat, and Rainbow Dash challenges Applejack to an Iron Pony competition, and it's a series of challenges of different things, and it's like, okay, fine, they're equally good at like various ones. I really want to get off my chest. It is very, very, very stupid that they let Applejack be physically weaker than Rainbow Dash at any point. Like, Rainbow Dash beats her in, like, arm wrestling, and that's just like, how? Like, she's an Earth Pony. Earth Ponies are physically stronger than the Pegasus and the unicorns. That's, like, as far as I view and I've seen read, like they work with their bodies a lot more. Like obviously Rainbow Dash would have way more powerful wings. I'm not going to debate that. Obviously her wings would be very strong. And if she was wing wrestling against Applejack's hooves or her forelegs, fine. Then I could see Rainbow Dash winning in that instance. But if it's just forelegs versus forelegs, anyways, what happens is they're even and they do a push-up contest, and then Rainbow Dash uses her wings to do the last push-up. Clearly, you don't do wings with do push-ups with wings. That's stupid. It irritates me already that like Twilight is supposed to be the judge and she's supposed to be watching, and it's like, what the crap are you doing, Twilight? Clearly, Rainbow Dash is like, that's not. Then they do a like long jump, and Applejack is going to win, and then Rainbow Dash jumps and then flies a little bit further. Well, if that's the case and that's fair, then she should have just flown across the world and been like, "Oh, I jumped like 9 million feet." It's so frustratingly stupid that like the writer of this episode is terrible with morals, and I'll clarify that before I'm done with this. So, anyways, the last competition is tug of war, and then Rainbow Dash flies into the sky, and it's like, this is clearly not tug of war at this point, and Applejack gets tired of it, and she's like, "You're cheating." And Rainbow Dash is like, "You never said I couldn't use my wings. I didn't say you could use your wings to jump. I didn't know I had to tell you, hey, in this jumping contest, you're not allowed to jump, and then as soon as you're about to touch the ground, fly as far as you want, and then say, oh, that was a single jump." That's just stupid. That's just really stupid writing. So, anyways, they Applejack is like, "You cheated." Rainbow Dash is like, "Fine, I'll prove it." And they do the running of the leaves. And this is where this episode just completely irritates me, like beyond belief. So what happens is, um, they're running. Applejack trips, and she thinks it's Rainbow Dash that tripped her. And Twilight is like, "Applejack, she didn't trip you," because Twilight saw it. She's like, "She didn't trip you. You tripped on that rock." And Applejack feels bad, and she's like, "You're right." And she runs, and she's like, Rainbow Dash didn't cheat. Then Rainbow trips, and she's like, "Applejack tripped me." And Twilight tells Rainbow Dash the same thing, and she's like, "She didn't do that. You tripped on that thing." And Rainbow Dash is like, "Oh, I feel bad." And then she's like, "Yeah, I'm still just gonna cheat." So Dash just starts cheating. She just they're running, and Rainbow Dash like hits her in the face with a branch, and then Applejack starts doing backhanded things, and it's like, yes, this though started with Rainbow Dash cheating again. Again, Rainbow Dash cheated, and she's just like, "I don't care. I'm gonna do whatever I want," and she's doing jerky things the entire time. And like, even with her friend Twilight telling her and Rainbow Dash knowing, hey, you fell on your own accord, she's still just like, I'm just gonna cheat and I don't care. I don't care. I'm going to cheat. Applejack is doing backhanded things because Rainbow Dash did backhanded things again. And then they start doing a bunch of backhanded things. They both lose. And the moral of the story is, hey, don't fight. No, the moral of the story is Rainbow Dash, you are a jerk and you just cheat. Why don't you just run a fair race? It could have just been a fair race. And then to make matters worse, Celestia comes in. This again is one of the main reasons I hated Celestia before. When I first started my trek in the pony fandom, back when the show was first airing, I started with season 1 and was super into it. I hated Celestia. And the reason that I hated Celestia so much was because she was so useless and she never said or did anything right in the canon. Like, she was just completely useless and I hated her. It wasn't until I read a couple fanfics, which I'll get into on my reviews. One of them being Into the Depths, one of them being Lost and Found, that I really fell in love with Celestia. But it's episodes like this canon, that made me hate Celestia. Celestia comes out, and I was like, oh, did she watch the whole thing? And Applejack is like, I'm sorry you had to see us fighting like that. And Celestia, instead of being like, oh yeah, I saw Rainbow Dash freaking hit you in the face with a branch, and like, so Rainbow, what the crap was that? She's like, oh yeah, sometimes you should remember that friendship, blah blah blah. No, dude, writer of this episode should have been, hey, you guys are freaking, like, Rainbow Dash is just a cheater and we're letting her get away with it as if it's both your faults. And it pisses me off because I said this somewhere, I don't remember, it was on FiM or it was on somewhere else, but I said this. Rainbow Dash did not get humbled enough in this series. She's a loudmouth, she's obnoxious, she's arrogant, she's a terrible human, a terrible pony. She is terrible and she gets away with it. And like, I think the reason that Faust did this is because we all have that friend. I literally had a friend that was literally like this, and we just let him get away with whatever, and he was a freaking annoying douchebag. And like, yeah, okay, but call them out on that crap. Don't let them get away with it, especially in a kids show when you're telling kids, hey, you're gonna have to deal with this later. Yeah, you are, but don't just let them get away with it. Anyways, I'm just ranting at this point. They lose. They run the leaves again. They do the running of the leaves because they didn't even finish anything, and nary a lesson was learned by anyone, especially Rainbow Dash, who should have learned a lesson of, hey, just don't cheat. If you're gonna lose with some freaking dignity. That should have been the moral of this episode. Nope, it was, we should just remember that we're friends and not take things too seriously. No. You're a bad writer. This was a bad episode. I don't like this episode. I give it like 0.5. It's really grating.